Hello, everyone. Before we start this regularly scheduled podcast, we will be doing a 10-second moment of silence for the late great Neil Peart. Thank you.
Like, comment, and subscribe for more content.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this edition of a Funko Popcast. I'm DK Wrestler.
And I'm MD Shaddy.
And in today's edition, we got some Funko Pop announcements, which there aren't that many because Funko has been kind of quiet this week, which we'll get into that later on with another segment, which will be top 5 predictions for London Toy Fair Funko Pop reveals. And then to end off the podcast, just like I had mentioned last week, the main purpose of this podcast is that it's a getting to know segment. You get to know MD and I and what our interests are and how we got into Funko, all that stuff. But before we get into all that, I want to say thank you to everyone who didn't skip through the moment of silence for Neil Peart. As you may know, Neil Peart passed away on January 7th, but it didn't get out to the media until January 10th. He passed away at the age of 67 years old from complications due to his battle from brain cancer, in which he had been fighting for the past couple of years now. Honestly, like, when people talk about people and their certain, like, how good they are on instruments like guitar and bass, and you talk about who may be the greatest of all time, who may not be, Neil Peart 100% is the absolute greatest drummer in music history. Without Neil Peart, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, the whole band of Rush, I don't know how the Canadian music scene would be, and how many Canadians would actually get their music out today. Like, without Rush, there'd be no 3 Days Grace, there'd be no Billy Talent, no Theory of a Dead Man, Sum 41, you name it. Any famous Canadian band that was created and got their fame after, like, the 1980s and 70s, they wouldn't be where they are today if it wasn't for Rush being, like, the first, like, Canadian band to rise to fame. I thought of this idea that Funko should kind of do this, like, tribute of, like, Neil Peart in a new Funko Pop, where make it like a Rush.com exclusive. That's what I would make it. Make partial proceeds of this pop, which the pop I had the idea for is make a pop deluxe of Neil Peart with his huge ass drum set.
I was
Like-
actually thinking about that the
like-
other day, yeah.
Have like the 3 bass drums, the bunch of cymbals, and make like a decent amount of proceeds go to like cancer research or something in honor of Neil Peart's name. I think that'd be cool. I say partial because I don't think they would do like full proceeds. Obviously, I think both parties would want some sort of cut out of the money that's earned from the pops if they
Yeah.
were to make this. But like if they did do all the money goes to cancer research, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, like charge $40 for it and $10 from each one. Boom. And then every party's still making money, and then it's still going for a great cause. So
Yeah. Actually, before we move on, if you were to make a super band, obviously we know Neil Peart is the greatest drummer, so you'd pick Neil Peart as your drummer. It can be musicians that are dead or alive, one bassist, one drummer, which obviously would be Neil Peart, so that's kind of out of the question, a guitarist, and a vocalist. Who would be your 4-man super band?
So it would be Neil Peart on the drums, Paul Stanley on guitar and backup vocalist, Flea as the bass from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, if none of you guys knew that. And then the vocalist would probably be Ozzy.
Not bad. Here's mine. So drums, obviously Neil Peart. Bassist, Cliff Burton
Okay.
from Metallica, or was from Metallica, but actually all the ones I'm going to mention are passed away now, which is weird. So Randy Rhoads on guitar, because if you know me very well, Randy Rhoads is my favorite guitarist of all time. And vocals, Freddie Mercury.
I knew you, because that was my first pick. I'm like, you know what? His vocals just wouldn't go well with the rest of the band that I picked, right? So I figured Ozzy was a better pick.
We're going to move on to the Funko Pop announcements for this week. And they have been really quiet with Funko Pop announcements. So starting off here, we have a new variant of social media Freddy Funko, followed by the Galick gun variant of Vegeta, which is a Chalice Collectibles exclusive, and it comes with a metallic variant for the chase. And that's expected to be released as early as March 2020. That's when it's expected to be shipped out. Then on a Funko live stream on January 9th, they were revealing all the Marvel Venomized pops, and one of them they never talked about during their announcements was a new variant of Venomized Ghost Rider, which this is now blue flamed, and this will be a Walmart exclusive, and it's unknown of when this will be released because they didn't even talk about it once during the live stream. It was just sitting there, shown off, and I just don't understand how they didn't talk about it when it was just sitting there. Unless it was like accidental, they didn't mean to.
That's what I was thinking. It was probably a mistake. Probably shouldn't even been there.
Then we got ourselves a flocked variant of the Penguin with Cocktail from the movie Billy Madison, and this is going to be a Hot Topic exclusive. Unknown of when this is going to be released, because this was just announced by Funko. We probably won't hear it until Hot Topic does their monthly videos of all their exclusives for the month, which I could see this being probably maybe February, March, around the time when the Billy Madison Pops do plan on getting released.
Yeah.
Then we got here a reanimation variant of Madara from Naruto, and this will be an EB Games / GameStop exclusive. This is available for pre-order now, but is expected to be released at some point at the end of January. I think the 26th, I believe, is when it's expected to be released. And then last but not least, last pop we're going to talk about today, a Funko Shop exclusive from the Fantastic Plastic lineup. The first actually official brand new pop from the Funko Shop this year. It's Ooodles, which you can see here. It looks like a ramen noodle container, which obviously I'll get to that in mere moments. Obviously released January 15th, or will be, because we are filming this at around like noon right now on January 15th. This will be released within a couple of hours at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So starting off with the social media Freddy Funko. This one looks pretty cool. I like the whole varsity jacket deal, and he's got the cell phone, so it's more updated from the other Freddy Funko. Galick gun Vegeta. Chalice Collectibles is known for having some of the best exclusives when it's from animation. You had the Kamehameha Goku from last year, and then announced last year but expected to be released at some point this year, I think, is the glow-in-the-dark power-up Vegeta that has the metallic chase that comes with it. But this one, I'm not a big fan of. I guess a lot of people didn't like it because especially the lightning in the background is not accurate to the actual animation. I actually watched this clip just to like double check, and it's purple, and there should be like more like lightning effect instead of what they have right here. But they did get the pose right before he does the whole, I think he yells out, Galick gun! And then I seen him. It was a battle between Vegeta and Goku, and Vegeta did Galick gun, and Goku did Kamehameha, and they just kind of did it at the same time and see what would happen between those. But also, a lot of people don't like the fact that for this, you can either buy one pop and it's $20 US, and you have the 1 in 6 chance of getting the chase, or the only way that you can actually get the chase now in some sort of bundle is if you buy a 6 pop bundle. So you have to buy 5 commons and 1 chase guaranteed bundle for $90 US. A lot of people don't like that because, like, yeah, they get the 2 pops, but what are they going to do with the other 4 common pops?
I actually disagree, and I think that's pretty dang good, because if you take into consideration $20 for 1 pop, 5 of them would be $100, and then you're getting that extra pop, which is the chase, but you're paying $10 less. The chase itself would be worth, let's say it's worth $40, and let's say you keep a common as well. That means you have, 4 other commons that you can just either give away or just sell, and even if you didn't sell them at like a full retail value, I think you'd still be getting your money's worth for that deal. I think that's a very good deal.
Yeah, and then the metallic, I don't like the way this metallic kind of looks on this Vegeta for some reason. The only way I like the metallic is on the outfit, like they've done in the past with like the Hot Topic exclusive Future Trunks, and especially the Kamehameha Goku. The metallic obviously looked good on that. But overall, like the head, I don't like the head when it's metallic. It's just I know it kind of brings out the hair more as turns to like the detail in the hair, but I don't know, I don't like it. Then the Venomized Ghost Rider that's blue flamed instead of orange flamed. I kind of like this, and it kind of makes sense because, let's say you were in like science class and you were working with like a Bunsen burner. Yeah, the flame would be orange, but like the very bottom of it, like where the flame would start, is blue. So it kind of makes sense for that sort of thing. And I think this will turn out very well, like when you actually see it in person, not through a photo that isn't the greatest quality because it was just screenshotted from a live stream and zoomed in more. I think this will sell pretty decently, considering that the Venomized Ghost Rider was probably the most popular pop out of the first wave of Venomized pops. So I think this one will do pretty decent also. Then moving on to the flocked variant of the Hot Topic exclusive Penguin with Cocktail. I think it's cool they did a flocked variant, and I think, like a penguin, this just makes a perfect idea for a flocked pop. Then with the Madara reanimation, this looks pretty cool. Naruto has some of the most detailed pops. I think my favorite part about this pop is the eye, because it's a purple eye and it's kind of got this like bullseye effect going on. They did that with another, I think, Naruto pop last year, and we talked about it. I can't remember. I think it was Itachi they did that with. And I don't know what's in, I don't even know if it's a him or a her. I don't know what's in their hand. It looks like a guitar, but I don't think it is. It looks like some sort of fan, like oversized fan that you just wave in front of your face, but I could be wrong. Any Naruto fans that may be listening to this, comment in the comment section below to let me know what exactly that is in Madara's hand. But overall, this looks pretty cool. Then the last pop, obviously, that we'll talk about, Ooodles. I think this is one of like my favorite fantastic plastic pops that Funko has made yet. What a way to kick off 2020 with fantastic plastic. You got this ramen noodles. First of all, it's called Ooodles, so all they did was remove the N from noodles, calling it Ooodles, and I think it's a cool name. It's got a mouth on it, which it's rare for pops to have mouths, and you got like this mouth with like a tongue, and it's got this cool nose and eyes with eyebrows. And yeah, it's a ramen noodle bowl. It's got noodles coming from the top, and even the lid is partially off, and it's holding chopsticks, because usually you would use chopsticks, or you can be like us Canadians and just like use a fork. And then the box, when you're looking at this on the screen, you don't see the box, but the box actually, the front part is like green for like where the Funko logo is and then where the name is. And on the sides and I think the back of the box, I didn't see the back, but probably the back also, is a picture of ramen noodles, which I think is genius in my opinion. There may be a possibility if I ever get a fantastic plastic pop, it may be this one.
Alright, on to me. So, starting off with Freddy Funko in the varsity jacket. This is, what's his name supposed to be?
This is the social media Freddy.
Social media, right.
This gets, it's not released to any stores. This is only giveaway items. So, like, if you watch their, like, unboxings on YouTube or, like, do a contest on Twitter or whatever and, like, and all that, then that's how you're able to win this. You type in, like, whatever word they say is like the secret word to like type in so that you're eligible for the contest, and then if you get picked, then you win the Freddy Funko, obviously. So
okay, that's a pretty decent idea by Funko, especially like social media is everything nowadays with advertising your company or your product. This Freddy Funko, it's alright in my opinion. I think it just being a giveaway item makes it a little bit better because people are going to want it more. Of course, it's going to be a hard one to find in the secondary market because I feel like if you win this, it's because you want it, not because you want to make a buck. And then moving on to the Vegeta, I like this pop, but at the same time, yeah, it's not the best Dragon Ball Z pops we've seen, especially from Chalice. I wouldn't mind getting the chase though, because with my Chrome Vegeta, like, I don't collect Chrome Pops, but I kind of do have this collection of Vegeta Pops going on now, so getting this chase wouldn't be too bad. I wouldn't mind that at all. And then the Venomized Ghost Rider. I can't tell exactly what it looks like from this, but from what I'm seeing, it looks like it's going to be awesome. I love how they went with Walmart, even though our Walmart gets practically nothing for Pops. It's blue, so give it to Walmart. Makes sense. They've done that a million times in the past. And yeah, like you said with the flame, like, I'm pretty sure there even has been versions of Ghost Rider where he has blue flames.
yeah.
I think this is going to be a great pop, and if we would have known about this pop when we did our little, like, top 2 favorite out of the new wave, I think this one probably could have changed things up a little bit.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
And then we have the flocked penguin, and I'm happy about this one. It makes a lot of sense, and of course it's great to see Hot Topic exclusives that I want because it's the easiest for us to get, pretty much. I'll probably get that one over the common just because flocked. And then the Naruto Pop, can't say a whole lot about it because I don't watch Naruto, but it does look good, and from what I've seen on social media so far, people seem to be pretty happy with it. So, and then we have Ooodles. Great name for a great looking pop. I think my favorite part about this pop is how accurate the cup looks, because it looks just like if you were to get a cup of ramen noodles. It looks just like it, and then they, of course, have the noodles coming up the top, which gives it kind of like a hair appearance. The chopsticks is a nice, fun added touch, and then they give them the, I don't know the correct term for it, but I'll call them like the high-rise wooden Japanese sandals, which I think it just makes so much sense, and I'm 100% getting this pop. I love ramen noodles, and I love this pop.
Alright, so now moving on. Wednesday's video, if you've seen on our channel, I had done as voted by our Instagram followers for a Funko Popcast, which if you haven't yet, go follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at a Funko Popcast. And so I had done a poll on our Instagram page where basically I knew I was going to do this segment on the podcast. But then I had done a separate video because that's what people wanted, and it was top 5 predictions for London Toy Fair reveals for Funko Pops or any Funko related items, which I know MD actually has maybe 1 or 2 items that aren't pop related, but I do want to know what exactly he thought of, because a lot of times MD comes up with some cool ideas.
I think you'll like this one.
Okay. So for obviously if you viewed my video, I had done strictly just pops. But MD actually hasn't seen the new video that I had done yet because it released today as we were recording this podcast, and we haven't.
I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, I was like, it just released like 30 minutes ago as we record this. So yeah, it would be cool to just kind of like for him to say his and then watch the video after and be like, oh, that's not bad. So it's like it's gonna be strictly MD Shady's top 5 London Toy Fair Funko reveal predictions. So, but
I see. You see what this guy does for the views? He even his friends, he's like, you know what? I'm not even gonna tell him mine. He's gonna have to go watch my video. I'm just gonna list them in the order that I put them. Normally, when I do something like this, I'd be greedy about it, and I would say small soldiers. They're gonna do small soldiers because I want that. But I kind of went the smart way around with this one, and I picked things that are reasonable and could quite potentially be a London Toy Fair exclusive. Well, not exclusive, but a reveal. So, starting off, I noticed that they do a theme of, they usually release some Disney products, because why not? I was thinking about a lineup of Disney that we haven't seen, but I don't think we're going to get something we haven't seen completely. I think we're going to get a redone series, and I think that'll be Monsters, Inc. Now, I think we can get a lot of cool pops out of this that we haven't quite seen before, or now that Funko has, I wouldn't say the technology, but they have the people to make greater detailed pops, we can get, like, better versions of pops that we've seen before. And I think Monsters, Inc. is just well overdue for some new pops. Second thing is there's always an animation lineup for these toy reveals, and they've been getting a lot of pops more recently with the past year, but I still think they need a few more lines, and that's The Simpsons. The pops that I think could be introduced in this lineup would be Barney, Apu, Ned Flanders, Chief Wiggum, and Principal Skinner. I think that'd be a wicked lineup. Now we got on to my one not pop-related product, and that is Mystery Minis. And I think we're due for a new good set of Mystery Minis, and I think those Mystery Minis should be The Office.
oh my god.
I think they could do it well, and they would look great, and they would sell amazingly. So why not? Then we go on to games. Now, I kind of took the easy route with this one because I couldn't think of any games that Funko really hasn't done besides, like, your big ones, like, you're going into Nintendo where they don't really have the license for, like, Mario or Zelda or anything like that. So I kept that out. But I said Pokemon. We all know that there's more Pokemon Pops coming out, and I think there's a potential that maybe some of them will be at the London Toy Fair. Then my last one, I went with a Pop Rock, or Rocks, depending on what they do with this. I was going to go with, like, Lil Yachty, because I've been wanting a Lil Yachty Pop, but I don't think that's going to happen. I went with something more reasonable again, and that is either all of Aerosmith or just Steven Tyler.
So I'll tell you this for the video I did. I did not add Pokemon because I originally was going to add Pokemon, but I felt that it wouldn't be fair, and I don't think Funko would have done this either. I think they're probably going to save Pokemon for either its own announcement or New York Toy Fair, because I think of what's the point of Funko announcing Pokemon Pops at London Toy Fair in the UK when the UK doesn't distribute Pokemon Pops?
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
So imagine the amount
Just like
of anger.
throwing it in their face, like, look
Yeah,
at these new
like
Pokemon Pops.
yeah, new Pokemon Pops, you're not gonna get them. Like, oh, I could just see the amount of angry people just like, oh, I want these. And
Yeah,
then-
like Eddie Murphy with the ice cream.
Anyways, we're gonna move on now to the main segment of this podcast, which is the getting to know us segment that we talked about last week. I think it's also very long overdue since we've been doing this podcast for almost a year now. Now that we have time, because we are a weekly podcast now instead of monthly and bi-weekly, I'm not going to start off this getting to know by being all like, my name is this and that, I was born and raised here, and I had a guinea pig named Herbert with 3 legs, even though I had a hamster named Hammy with 3 legs as a kid, but that's besides the point. I'm going to start off kind of like what began my interest. Like, I'll start off like what my interests are and what kind of like led to my interest being into like collecting things. So, I guess the earliest memory of my interest would be 5 years old when I began watching WWE. My love for watching WWE led into, well, first of all, if you don't know already, I'm actually a pro wrestler myself on the independent scene. So clearly I loved wrestling so much that I actually became a wrestler. And it led me to, as a kid, I collected the WWE figures. Some of them were good condition, and because I was a kid, some of them were bad condition. Like, I still have a Billy Gunn action figure that I turned into the Joker. Like, it has green hair and it's got, like, white face, and I think even for some reason, I had this weird obsession with, like, having figures with one leg, because there was no, like, Zach. Remember the wrestler Zach Gowen?
Yeah.
Who has one leg? And I think I have a John Morrison with one leg, but that's also because for some reason I had this weird obsession with wanting to put my wrestlers in like a jar, filling up with water and putting it in a freezer and see what would happen. And when I used my John Morrison, the leg broke, and I remember that day too. I had a glass jar in this, so first of all, you can already know what's happened. So I grabbed the jar, put it out of the freezer, and all I hear is, and I'm like, oh crap. Boom, broke on me, cut my hand open, and then John Morrison's leg broke. I actually still have that figure, John Morrison with one leg. I liked collecting WWE figures. It led to me collecting some, like, I guess Marvel figures, which mainly was, like, from the old Spider-Man movies that starred Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. So I had Spider-Man, I had Green Goblin that was played by William Dafoe, an action figure where it come with a removable helmet and the glider, and I had Doc Ock. I collected some Star Wars figures, but not too much. Like, there was like a Revenge of the Sith lineup for action figures where they came with these like kind of tokens, in which now MD, yeah, that's right. So MD's showing me in his room right now the actual kind of book. I'll put a picture on the screen. Kind of like the book where you put these like kind of tokens in it. And I had stopped collecting only because at one point I was so like OCD about it, where like what I'd do is that I would collect them in numerical order. So I think I had 1 to 5. And then when I went to, back in the day, there used to be a store called Zellers. At this time, I'm looking for figure number 6, but I see like 7 to 12. And I'm like, nope, not getting that. I can't get that until I find number 6, which is kind of stupid because now if I would have collected like 1 to 12, and possibly there was like at least 50 of them that like
I think
are
it
in
is.
that
I
set.
think it is 50. Yeah.
Yeah, so like even if like it took me like a few years later to like at like a flea market or a Comic-Con to go find figure number 6 again, and I would have paid a little bit more, probably would have. But at the same time, it was 2005 when that came out, so I was like 9 at the time, so you wouldn't be seeing me with a ton of money going to a Comic-Con at 9 years old. Another main, like, I guess I'd call them collectibles, but obviously you'd remember this, Webkins.
Yeah.
So, for those that might not know, or you may not be old enough, but I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this may be old enough to remember Webkins. Webkins, which kind of like died off like Beanie Babies, were these stuffed animals where you couldn't get them at like, I don't think you could like walk into a Walmart and get them. I remember buying mine at like these random stores like Carlton Cards and like that one random store, the Turtle Dove, if you remember, or something like the Turtles Cake. I can't remember the name. You'd get these stuffed animals and they come for the codes for the website, which the website webkins.com, which I think still exists today, but it's obviously not as big as it was like 15 years ago. Wow, I'm feeling old just saying that Webkins was 15 years ago. You type in a code and it activates whatever stuffed animal you got. So whether you got a specific species of dog, cat, even I had a turtle, and like I remember I had a tree frog, which I was super proud of, and I had so many different like species, and you would like create homes for them, and like they'd chill out and like play video games or something like, and then you would end up having friends and stuff on the game. Like I would have MD and we would have like our animals like interact and stuff. Like it was cool for that time. And I think Webkins back in the day were like the same price as like Pops are now. Like they were like
$15.99.
yeah, like
sometimes more depending.
I remember paying like, especially the one I was looking for the longest time, the Beagle, which is my favorite species of dog. I remember paying like close to $20 for the Beagle, and it was hard to find. Like going to every store and they wouldn't have it because everyone wanted a Beagle. Then my other kind of obsession, as some of you may know, Toy Story. So I got some Toy Story stuff. Well, technically, I don't have all the movies on DVD, but I do have 1 and 2 on VHS. I can watch 1, 2, and 3 now in Disney Plus, which is awesome. And then I have number 4 on my Cineplex account, so that you get the digital copy when it comes out. And then I can also watch it on Disney Plus when it comes out this year. My last thing, I collect a little bit of Pepsi stuff. MD has seen part of my Pepsi collection. I have like a Pepsi kind of like sports bottle. I have this kind of these cups, and they come with like a big, like a container. Like usually you would put like Brita water in it or like juice or something, and you like pour it into a cup. And then like these old glass bottles. I have a Pepsi sign actually hanging up in my room. I'll go to you now for your interest.
I've been collecting stuff from a very, very young age. I grew up having my dad collecting a bunch of stuff. As Dylan would know, we've gone like hunting, I would call it, like with my dad before at like our local flea market or whatever. But yeah, my dad had tons of stuff. That definitely influenced me a lot for collecting and where my collection is now. I collect a lot of things. I collect movies, whether it's DVDs or I have a pretty intense VHS collection. I would say my biggest collection is Star Wars. I was influenced by Star Wars a lot as a kid, and I've collected it for well over 15 years now. Another thing that I collect a lot of is Kiss memorabilia. If you don't know what Kiss is, it's a band. You probably know who they are. They're pretty huge. So yeah, I got a lot of Kiss stuff, and I've been collecting that forever. My dad had an insane Kiss collection. I'm pretty sure he got rid of most of it by now. But his collection was like 4 times bigger than what I have, and I have quite a bit. That being said, I also collect some other Rock memorabilia, most specifically the McFarlane line of toys that they do for the Rock lineup. I also have a very large video game collection. I've been doing that for almost a decade now. I collect hockey cards, I collect Lego, I collect this, that, and the other thing. I collect so much stuff that it's hard to say exactly what I collect. A lot of people, especially at my work, say that I'm a hoarder, which is partially true, I guess.
I guess another question a lot of people probably want to know is, how did DK Wrestler and MD Shady meet? So I guess this is how as best as I'm going to explain it. So let's say there's a school A and a school B. So kindergarten to grade 2, I was at school A, and MD was at school B. Then there were some family problems I had, and I ended up moving. Which then in grade 3, I went to school B, and that's where I met MD. I think our interest in like wrestling and Star Wars is kind of how it kicked off our friendship. And one of our good buddies, I'll actually mention him by name for once, Robbie Diltz, who you can find at Original Funko Fan. He's one of our good friends, and we were all in like the same grade 3, grade 4 class at that time also. So our love for wrestling within the 3 of us kind of bonded together. And then so happens after the grade 3 year, MD moved, and he actually ended up going to school A, where I had previously went from kindergarten to grade 2. So then from grade 4 to grade 8, he was at school A, I was still at school B. And then we graduated elementary, went to the same high school for all 4 years, so that was cool. Yeah, I don't know if what you have to add to that.
I don't know, you summed it up pretty well. Like, besides, like, that dead space where after I left for grade 4, it's not like we weren't in touch. We still, like...
Oh yeah, I was practically like, I think like the first year though, it was like I only seen you like every like 3 to 6 months. But then there was a point where it was like I was at your place like bi-weekly for like a whole weekend at one point.
Yeah, yeah. It would be like you would go to, like, your dad's one weekend.
Yeah.
And then the next weekend, he would be here, like, from Friday after school to, like,
Yep.
Sunday night.
Yep. That's exactly how it was. There was even a point I remember the days when we were actually able to like pull all-nighters and stuff. I remember not being able to pull it off, but I fell asleep at like 8:30 in the morning, and your dad had woke me up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon saying, "Hey Dylan, I gotta bring you home now."
Yeah.
And I guess during that period of like going to MD's house is how my YouTube career technically started. I started making YouTube videos at MD's. I did vlogs. I did series that unfortunately you can't see on this channel because I put them on unlisted. So the only way you'd get them is if I send you the link, which probably won't happen, unfortunately. But yeah, so like if it wasn't for doing all these random like stuff, I don't even think we'd be here today doing this podcast if it wasn't the start of these random YouTube videos I made as a kid. So now, opinions of Funko Pops before I collected them, which I honestly thought Funko Pops were like the most stupid things I've ever seen in my life when I first like seen them. I don't know, like I'd walk into like EB Games, or actually I think when Funko Pops started becoming a decent thing in like 2013, 2014, I think we actually at one point for like a bitter part of a year had a GameStop, but then eventually changed to EB Games.
Yeah.
And I'd walk in there, and I specifically remember seeing like one of my not only personal Grail Pops, but an actual Grail Pop, like CM Punk for the WWE lineup, just chilling there, and I never bought it.
The first place I ever recall seeing a Funko Pop was in Action Tees when that was still around in the mall. They sold like band merch, they sold like weed paraphernalia, buttons, backpacks, random stuff, but then they also had the Big Bang Theory Pops there, and they might have had like one or two other pops, but they had like 4 Big Bang Theory Pops there, which I remember. I was looking at them and I'm like, these are like, as a collector of stuff, I'd be like, why? I'd rather just have a detailed figure from the Big Bang Theory. Why would I want this thing? So yeah, that's my first memory of Pops, and I didn't like them either. And then Star Wars Pops came out. I thought the same thing, like, why would I collect any of these Star Wars Pops? Because I have such a huge Star Wars collection, like, why would I want to get this figure when I have, like, a super detailed Chewbacca right there?
Yeah, so now it's basically the story I'm pretty sure everyone wants to know is how we began collecting Funko Pops. So my story's pretty easy. Some sort of third weekend of October in 2015. I was actually I was actually with MD when this happened. We were at Hamilton Comic Con, and I think we were with our buddy Justin at that point. I think he was with us. Justin Caldwell.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking Jesse, but yeah, Justin I think was there with us, yeah.
Yeah, so the three of us went there, and it was actually, surprisingly, it's the first and only time we've been to Hamilton Comic Con, or at least I have. I don't know if you have since then.
Yeah, I've definitely gone more than once.
Okay, so I've only been there that only time. I'm just looking through a bunch of the stuff, and I'm just trying to think of exactly what I'm gonna buy. And so I see the pops, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna look at them, see what there is. And I go look at them, and I see a bunch of licenses, and I see some WWE ones. I even think I seen CM Punk that day, which I think at that time was like $60. Which, look at it now.
That's like less than half.
Yeah, that's like less than half of what it is now. Now I'm looking through, I see that, I see Breaking Bad, I'm like, cool, I love Breaking Bad. At that time, that was like my favorite TV show of all time. I think it still is, that and The Office. But then I'm like, man, it would be cool if I see like Toy Story or something. And I look, I see Buzz Lightyear from the original Disney lineup, which it was $60 because it was, like I said, from the original Disney lineup. It was number 2. So it came out in 2011. It was 2015. So the Pop's 4 years old already, which now as I think about it, next year the Pop will be 10 years old. I'm like, oh, $60. Do I want to buy that? But then I ended up buying it. Not knowing that 3 months later, there'd be the Toy Story 20th anniversary lineup, which the Buzz Lightyear there, in my opinion, looked better. But I still bought the Buzz Lightyear just because, it's an older Pop. Then actually, I bought my first 2 Pops that day. So there was that. I can't remember what else non-Funko related I bought. But then my second pop was Heisenberg from Breaking Bad. So I ended up walking out with the Heisenberg Funko Pop that day. So then now it's like, it's just completely grown. Honestly, I think it was only meant to be like, okay, I'm going to have 10 pops. Ended up being like 1 pop, 2 pops, like 6 pops because the Toy Story 20th anniversary came out. And I think actually at one point I was missing Rex. And it so happens I messaged MD and I said, hey, if you're at EB, can you pick me this up and I'll owe you back the pop? And I still have obviously the sticker on the bottom from EB Games, $11.99. And now people are selling it at Comic Cons for $150.
Yep, and there was 2 of them, and guess who didn't buy one for himself?
There was 2? I thought there was only 1.
I'm pretty sure there was 2.
Because I remember there was all 4 there at one point. And at that point, actually, because Funko wasn't all that big for those kind of stores, they had them on these, like, racks that you'd put, like, video games on. It wasn't even, like, the big wall that they have now with Funko Pops. How'd you start? I think you started, like, after I did, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I started not too long after you. You definitely had a little bit of a head start on me where you could scoop up some nice pops that are a little bit pricier now. But I started one day, I'm thinking it must have been after I got off of work, or maybe I was on break at work. I think it was one day when I got off of work, I figured, I'm going to go check out EB Games because I was like heavily collecting video games at this time. So our local EB Games went from, like you said, they were on like these video game racks. But then at one point they had their pops on, you know where the board games are now in EB Games? Like
yeah, those are the kind of racks I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like not like the racks on the wall, but like kind of like a shelving unit type rack.
Yeah. Because remember they had them by where like the Lego and like all those action figures are.
Yeah.
Remember they used to be there on the wall there.
Yeah.
And then they moved them and they were like on this like stand up unit. And I saw they had the whole lineup of Saved by the Bell. And so I think, if I'm not mistaken, I bought Zach Morris, and I might have got AC Slater that day as well too. And that was just because I've been a huge fan of Saved by the Bell for so long, and you never see... Now, there are some Saved by the Bell things that you can get, but back in, what was like 2015, I think?
15, 16,
yeah,
around there.
There was like nothing for Saved by the Bell, so I was like, wow, this is awesome. So I bought the 2, and I was kind of weaned into Funko by this time from like going to Comic Cons with you and like you're buying them and I could see other people like enjoying them. I'm seeing so many while we're there, right? So by this time I didn't have a hatred for Funko Pops, but I wasn't like a huge fan. I was just like, I'm gonna get these ones because they're cool and I'm not gonna see products like this. So long story short, I ended up getting the rest of the set, all 6 of them. And then shortly after, I saw that they had the Sesame Street set. I started slowly buying some of those, and then that's basically history. It snowballed into me now having like 500 pops.
Yeah, like at one point, there was a point, obviously, I began before MD, and I had like a bit more pops than he did. Now, fast forward to 2020, MD has like 4 times the amount of pops that I do.
How many do you have? Like,
I think when I did my full collection video, the official like pop count itself, a little bit behind 170.
So I wouldn't say 4 times. Like, I think I haven't counted them in so long, so I don't know how many I have, but...
Now, do I collect other things from Funko besides pops? Yes. It's weird. Watching other Funko YouTubers inspired me to buy more than just pops. So, like, obviously there's pops, and actually, MD was the one who showed me Top Pops. He's like, you ever heard of this YouTuber called Top Pops? And I said, no. It's like, you should check him out. He's got these cool videos, shows off his pops. He's got, like, at the time, I think it was, like, 600 pops, and now he has, like, double that. I think it was, like, the end of 2018, early 2019 at this time. And I watch his videos, and when he does his Mystery Minis unboxing, that inspired me to do the Mystery Mini War series. And then actually his mom kind of inspired me to buy like the vinyl figures here and there. I don't collect all of them just because there's not many vinyls that I would want. There's only, I think, 3 vinyls I have. One is the Woody and Buzz vinyl for Toy Story. And then I have 2 Star Wars, which one is Stormtrooper and Darth Vader. And then the Obi-Wan Kenobi Darth Maul vinyl 2-pack, which...
I didn't even know you had that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Top Pops, when I showed you Top Pops, yeah. The one thing that I thought was funny with Top Pops is that probably late 2016, I would say, Before this, I was watching Top Pop's videos, like, just as, like, I wasn't avidly watching them like we watch them now, but I had seen them before, and I watched his videos, and I thought they were good, and I watched, like, other people's videos, of course, and then one day, I was taking the garbage down at my work. I'm a cook, by the way, and so I was taking the garbage through the mall, and then I seen him with his family walking, and I was just like, there's no way it can't be him. Like, why would he be at our mall? So weird. And then I ended up DMing him on Instagram. He never messaged me back. But
Probably left you on red though.
yeah. It was just so weird, and now like I've been like shouted out on the channel, which is awesome, and I've been in a couple videos just like in the background when I met him at Hot Topic and Comic-Con. But that's besides the point. What do I collect now? I collect basically everything that I collected before. Like, I don't collect Star Wars as much as I used to just because I have so much Star Wars stuff. I collect Star Wars stuff when I see something that's like kind of niche, like something I don't have or something that I think is cool. I don't really collect like just Star Wars figures anymore.
Yeah, like you don't go out and buy like, let's say example, like the Black Series figures, like
yeah,
all of them.
Yeah, I only like I bought like the last one I bought was Lando Calrissian from Solo because it's Childish Gambino who plays him. What I've been collecting more seriously in the past few months is Lego. Actually, I've been buying lots and lots of Lego within the past, I would say, 2 months. Me and my coworker have been just buying bundles and splitting them and going out and buying their mystery figures and opening them together, and it's a good time, and it reminds me of my childhood, so it's pretty sweet. Lego is awesome.
Alright, so that's going to be the end of this podcast for this week. Next week's edition of a Funko podcast, and I'm 80% sure that obviously this will happen. The main topic, and it'll probably be the only pops that we talk about, maybe the pops that could be announced while we're recording this, or the days leading up to the release, which, if you're listening to this on the day it gets released, it should be, I think, January 17th. So next week on the 24th should be London Toy Fair reveals. I can't wait to see what pops that they got announced for that. That's basically what the majority of the episode is going to be about. If you enjoyed this podcast, go smash that like button so that we know that you are enjoying this podcast and that you like what we're providing here. Comment in the comment section below on what you think are going to be revealed at London Toy Fair and what collection you guys have besides just Funko Pops and any Funko related items. Make sure you press that subscribe button for more content like this video, or this podcast per se, in the future, and press the little bell beside it to be notified of when that future content gets released. But anyways, thank you all for listening, and see you guys next week. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here!
What's that thing I say again? Oh yeah, peace in, peace out.